Peace, peace. Assalamu alaikum. Shalom, shalom. Hotep, Islam, Alafia. What's going on, family? What's going on? Today we have a special edition. Episode 36, man. Episode 36 with my good brothers from AIU. Man, we're going to get all into it. They have a new ebook out. We're going to get into that, and we're going to get into community service. We're going to get into activism. We're going to get into a whole lot of things, subjects, and everything like that. Education, we're going to really get into it and get deep. All right, so, man, how's it going, brothers?
Oh, it's going beautiful. It's going great. Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
Yes.
It's all peace, man.
Yeah, congratulations on this doing this podcast live and in person. That's a big step.
Yeah, man. Today we making history. This is the first in-person podcast of DTR 360 Books podcast. So, I told myself, and I was just saying, I told myself, like, damn, I want to have more in-person interviews for 2023. And I was like, but I didn't know what happened so fast, you know? So, alhamdulillah, all praise is due to the Most High, man, for just allowing me to have this type of platform and to be able to, you know, have brothers like you that are doing the work in the community to share what you're doing, because a lot of times people don't know, and a lot of times if they don't know, then they will have the misconception that nothing is happening because they don't know.
True.
Right? So again, this is the opportunity to prove and to make yourself known and to put out there what you're doing, because what you're doing in the community is great, it's important, and people just need to know that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? So starting off with you, brother Yomi Love, man, tell the people what you're about and what you got going on.
Peace, family. Name's Brother Yomi Love, co-founder of the Abundance in Ujamaa movement, also the co-author of the ebook, A Guide to Living in Abundance. You know, I'm also I do a lot with the community through AIU, also through the Rafa Art Life Center. I'm the program director there as well. So those are a few things I do.
All right, and brother Dr. Ikemba, tell the people what you're about and what you got going on in the community.
Right on. So I'm Ikemba Ajore, co-founder of Abundance in Ujamaa, co-author of Living in Abundance, and I'm a professor at Medgar Evers College. Been teaching at Medgar Evers College for 5 years. I'm also a head writer, researcher of We Charge Colonialism, which is a grassroots think tank. So I do a lot of writing for them, and we do a lot of podcasting and study groups. So a lot of my focus is around education, working with our youth, just being active in the community, working with other people who are putting in that work. So just trying to give as much support as a revolutionary, as a Pan-Africanist, Black nationalist, to other people who are putting in that work. So that's a little something of what I do.
Word. So, man, AIU, how did Abundance in Ujamaa come about?
Well, Abundance in Ujamaa came about. It started off as a gifting community, but it was directed for our community as African people, and it wasn't just about the gifting process. It was also about the focus from the beginning was we're gonna take these gifts and build up businesses in our community. We're gonna practice Ujamaa. We really saw it as a launching pad for building our community economically. The Abundance in Ujamaa movement, we say we follow in the footsteps of, Garvey, Du Bois, Booker T. Washington. It was really about doing for ourselves, a way for us to, come together, practice Ujamaa, and, figure out how we could benefit collectively, economically.
Yeah. Like, just to add on to that, like, I think one of the things we were definitely pushing for cooperative economics, and the spirit of Garvey was definitely with us in what we were doing. And we weren't just thinking about how we could benefit economically, Like we were thinking about how we can help others benefit economically and how we can organize them into cooperative economics. And so part of it was education too. So we wanted, that was a big part of what we were doing, is we knew we was organizing our people to do something that they weren't used to. They are not used to collective economics in the community. So, we started educating people. I guess we'll get into, with the mindset, Mondays, winning Wednesdays. So, that education part we thought was important so that our people can have the mindset to do collective work.
Man, beautiful. How did the name Abundant In Ujamaa come about? Like that name specifically.
It was a struggle over there. Yeah. I don't know if you want to get. What I recall is, we again was part of a community that, if I can recall, they had a different name, and we kind of wanted to create something new because of the mindset. It was a certain mindset that we didn't see, and a certain way that people were moving that we think didn't embody the spirit of Garvey and Malcolm. And so, we wanted to move in a different direction. And so, I think Ujamaa spoke to what we wanted to do. We've, just being familiar with Kwanzaa and the principles. I think it was a cooperative, was the name used, but we wanted to use an African name. Maybe you can.
Yeah, I believe it was called. Yeah, we split off from a larger gifting community because, like he said, we had certain principles that guided us that were specific to us. Such as Ujamaa. Such as Ubuntu. Such as Ma'at. So I believe the community we came from was the Ujamaa cooperative, and we we decided there were certain things we appreciated, but we were kind of like our own set, so we needed our own name. And so Abundance in Ujamaa came out of that. It's not just Ujamaa, but we want abundance and like through our in Ujamaa. Like it's not just us just buying black, but putting it in the mindset of our people that, as we buy black, as we do these things to support black businesses, it's going to benefit the collective. It's not just benefiting individuals,
Right.
It's benefiting the collective. And that is the way, everybody talks about, now in this society, everybody talks about, get in the bag or whatever. But we said, we wanted Ubuntu, I am because we are. We want all of us to succeed, all of us to become abundant. And it's through our in Ujamaa that we're gonna achieve that abundance.
Yeah, man. I talked about Ubuntu on my second to last podcast with Dr. Umar Johnson, right? As you said, I am because we are. Once we start to look at ourselves as one, then that's like half the battle, right? We're like almost there as far as gaining total freedom. Total liberation and emancipation. But unless we keep looking at ourselves as individuals and I and me, we will never reach the pinnacle of freedom. So I love that some of the tenets or foundation of AIU is cooperative economics, is Ubuntu, is teamwork. Right, is cohesiveness and togetherness. I pride myself on that, and again, if we want to reach that total freedom, then we need to have a sense of community. We need to have a sense of teamwork. We're working together. This is why, and my next question is going to be, because of course I don't want to leave the ladies out, but it's more than two members of AIU. And if you can discuss how you was able to foster different relationships and bring everyone together under the AIU umbrella.
Yeah, it was. So it was. I'm glad you mentioned the sisters, because it was a woman who brought us all together. It was a sister, Sister Sekmut. I knew her from doing collect African marketplaces and collective economics. So I was already practicing this, and she came through and vended at one of the events. So we built a relationship, and she reached out to me. I think she reached out to everybody that's in AIU, to be honest. You can tell your experience, but she was the one who brought us together. And from there, a lot of people came into the community, but only a few of us remained. But it was her, and then Sister Livewire as well, and Kasara. So the other individuals as part of the
so
group
now
are
it's
all
just
women.
four.
It's 5 of us.
5.
Yeah,
Okay.
3 women and us 2.
Okay.
Yeah. You want to talk about it?
Yeah. I had a relationship with like he said, Sister Sekmut is the one who had the vision for Abundance in Ujamaa, and she's the one we all came in under. Like we said, we started off as a gifting community. Whereas you bring in more people. So she was the one. She was doing the work of bringing us all in. It was I knew Brother Kemba before Abundance in Ujamaa. I didn't know him as closely as I do now. I knew Sister Sekmut through another organization, the Thanksgiving Collective, which does Thanksgiving and other cultural programs. And yeah, as far as who is the leadership of the Abundance in Ujamaa, the 5 we're talking about now, it was a self-selected process. At a certain point, we realized we needed a certain structure, we needed some leadership. And she put a call out to all those who were in the community who wanted to step up and take on more leadership roles. Like Brother Kemba talked about, from that, we gave birth to Mindset Mondays, because we did realize, like you said, we need that unity. And Krumah talks about, unity presupposes organization. So there had to be some type of organization. And, we all come in with our different ideas. And so that was one of the things we realized we needed to have some training. That's where the Mindset Mondays and the Winning Wednesdays came. But like the Sister Sekmut, I realized I knew her even before Thanksgiving Collective. So it's almost like just being in the community doing work. We knew each other or knew of each other or saw each other. And
you, Brother Yomi, actually know just about everybody in a conscious community, huh?
I was born into a political family. My father is a organizer for the All African People's Revolutionary Party. I've been a part of organizations my whole entire life, and when it came to Abundance in Ujamaa, I had taken a break from organizing, and then it's like that's
no breaks.
That's my heart. So when she talked about her vision. And, what really separated this gifting community from other gifting communities, because I knew about other communities, it was that it wasn't just on one person. It had that collectivism. Like if, part of being in the community is you have to bring in other people, but it wasn't like you were just on your own. That's what I loved about it. That's what I love about Sister Sekmut. I think that's why, we have such a tight relationship. And yeah, just sharing those common values with brothers like Ikemba, Sister Empress Livewire, Sister Kausara. But yeah, I give thanks. I was born, you'd say I was born into the movement, and, it's the most beautiful people in the movement. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. So shout out to the sisters who couldn't be here today. Your spirit and your energy lives on. Man, so let's get into the book real quick. So how did the book come about? Abundance in Ujamaa.
Well, I'll say, I have a aunt who was part of the community, and when we lost momentum, she saw the amount of work we were doing trying to organize the community, and she said, one of our elders, what's the lesson? What did you learn from this? And there has to be a lesson. This couldn't be all for nothing. And we got together and we talked about, okay, why did we lose momentum? One of the things you talked about is we're in this society that trains us to be individuals and to be individualistic. So we said that was one of the issues. It's the mindset. We can't achieve abundance if we don't have that abundant mindset. So we said, how can we help our people achieve that abundant mindset? And we decided we need to write a book, a guide to living in abundance. So that was the impetus. Just trying to do our part. There's a lot of people now giving out, information in terms of like financial literacy. There's a lot of people talking about, investing now in our communities. There's a lot of people talking about cooperative economics, but it all starts with the mindset and,
Yeah, as you talked about also in the book that with the mindset, like everything begins with the thought. Everything begins in the mind. Everything begins internally.
Right.
And then is manifested, executed, and implemented externally. So what was that process like? Was it a smooth process in getting the book out? How was that process like? And did you at first knew that you wanted to write on the subject of abundance?
I mean, we did. We wanted to do something in the spirit of the organization. So we knew we wanted to write something about abundance because this is the mindset that we're working to instill in our people, to have an abundance mindset. Because that's something that we felt that a lot of people who we were organizing with didn't have, and it caused the organization to falter. And so we seen a void in the community, and we felt like we needed to fill that void. What took place was, or what inspired us, I think we were already educating people, like you said, when we were doing the gifting, and we had the Mindset Mondays, the Winning Wednesdays, and I know we all felt that, we are all brilliant people and we have something to offer. And we felt like, hey, we need to write this book. We need to put this out and just contribute. We looked at it as a way to contribute. We can do the videos, the podcasts, and so forth. But we felt like we wanted to put something in print so that people can like sit down and read. So yeah, and of course, like the collective work, like in the spirit of Ujamaa. So I feel like we just embody these Kwanzaa principles since we're just coming out of Kwanzaa of Ujamaa and the collective, because you talked about like the process.
Yes.
We're there for each other. So even though it was getting tough and we had a date and we pushed the date.
Right.
It was longer than we expected.
I was waiting on it. I was waiting on it for it to come out.
Yeah.
I was waiting on it.
It was definitely longer than expected, but we stayed at it, and we, just the support system that we have, and just staying on top of each other. Like Yomi, Yomi is like, he's the one though. He stays on top of us, man.
Yeah.
So
he's something like me. I'm more of a structured, organized type of guy.
For sure. But it's that Ujamaa, man, the collective work and responsibility. Just the 5 people who really want to give back to the community and having the same mindset and believing in the same principles makes it that much easier. I don't know if you had something.
Yeah, I would say it wasn't a smooth process, but
You say wasn't?
It wasn't. It wasn't a smooth process. We have, we all have strong personalities, and we each had our own individual chapters, but we also had to get it approved by the other members, the other co-authors. And one thing I would say is, we can't run from struggle. As a people, we can't run from struggle. Struggle. Frederick Douglass said, "Without struggle, there is no progress." So we struggle with each other, to make sure. It was up to a level, the writing was up to a level that we could all get behind and say, vouch for that, this is a worthy product. We can all be proud to, be a co-author in this book. And yeah, it took longer than we expected, but one thing, we could be proud of is we stayed consistent. We stayed persistent, and we made it happen. So I'm very proud. We gave birth to it, and it's out there for the people now.
For
Exactly,
sure.
exactly.
Yeah.
Man, and so if people are interested in purchasing the book, where can they purchase the book at?
Yeah, they could follow us on Instagram. Our Instagram is AIU Movement. And if you go there's a link in our bio. So just go to our Instagram. Make sure you follow us at AIU Movement on Instagram. And then the link is there in the bio to purchase the book.
Man, so I had the opportunity to actually read the book. And
Thank you.
yes, it was
Wow.
great. It was great.
That's
A lot of the information that's in here I already knew, but it served as a reassurance and a reminder to self that I needed to be joyful. I needed to practice, some of the benefits of being joyful so that I can have a stress-free life. I needed to make sure get enough sleep, right? We talked about, or you guys talked about the abundance of healthy lifestyles, right? Getting sleep, drinking water, right? So a lot of these things, mechanisms, I already knew, but again, it just served as a reassurance. It served as a reminder to self, because sometimes you need that reminder, and this is what reading does, right? Reading serves as like, if you read something like, oh, I knew that already,
Right
but
on.
now let me apply it, right? This is our motto: applied knowledge is true power. So now let me put the knowledge to work.
Right on.
It's not good to just read it. Oh yeah, I already knew that. Okay, but no, the work is not done yet, right? So that is key, man. Talk about I know this was sister Livewire chapter, but if you can talk about the importance of joy and happiness, right? Because we live in a society where we live in a chaotic, angry, disgruntled society. Man, quick story. Every time I come to Brooklyn, New York, right, there's always road rage. Everyone is always angry. Everyone is always in a rush to get to nowhere. Everyone is just, you say hi, peace, what's up, they pass you straight. So we live in and granted, not all states is like that, but most states are, right? California is one of them. All of the big cities, they're always in a rush to go nowhere. They always want to curse you out, right? So we live in a society like that, and granted, sometimes we all get like that because that's the environment that we grew up at. But we have the knowledge now to divert away from that stressful, low energy, low vibrational lifestyle, as you mentioned in the book. Talk about joy and happiness. How can we have more of that to live a stress-free, high vibrational lifestyle?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, yeah. So first I want to say that we broke down abundance into different aspects, right? So for those who haven't read the book yet. So, a lot of times we think of abundance, we just think of financial abundance, but we talk about in the book, there's a chapter on spiritual abundance. There's a chapter on emotional abundance. There's a chapter on health abundance. There's a chapter on financial abundance, which is what we usually think about. So you talk about emotional abundance and the importance of joy. As you said before, everything begins in the unseen, right? So when we talk about emotional abundance, as within, so without. So the importance of joy and living a high energy life is that, you want abundance in your external world. You first have to have it in your internal world. So it's like you want to live a life, stress free. You want to live a life that's joyful. You want to do the things that bring you joy. We could live in an environment that is stressful, but it's really how do we react to our environment, and we actually impact our environment. So we want to send our energy, send high energy, positive energy out into the world, so that's what we're going to receive back. That's one of the things, you reap what you sow. So it's important that you take time to regulate your own emotions, and make sure you're doing the things that's going to keep your emotions at a high vibrational state. because then that's what's going to be reflected back in your life. So that's the importance of joy. You know, you don't want to just be reacting to your environment. You actually are the creator of your reality. You're actually the creator. And so that's our greatest gift is, you know, you determine your reality. It's not just life is happening to you. It's happening because of you, and it's responding to you. So you set the tone for your life, you know, so you make sure in your day, you know, you're setting a positive tone, and that energy you put out into the world, that's what you're going to get back. So that's, for me, that's the importance of seeking joy and doing the things that's going to bring you joy.
Yeah, just, you know, to add to that, you know, reading the book myself, you know, I'm able to get so much from my brothers and sisters, who my co-authors, because we do come from a different angle, you know, touching on the health, touching on joy and spirituality. And so, you know, you see our personalities show up in this book as well.
Yes.
And so we're able to learn from each other and really, you know, borrow the energy from each other. And, you know, that makes us that much more powerful. But, you know, going back to the joy, which is a powerful chapter, Yomi touched on, you know, the creation. Like we create, you know, we are the determiners of our emotion, how we feel about things, and you know, what emotion that we are giving off. We can determine that. And so when it comes to joy, this is what the joy and abundance is all about. Like, we are the determiners on whether we have joy in abundance or if we're lacking it. No one else can give that to us. And being in a system where there are people who are trying to determine what makes us happy, you know, what makes us joyful, is something that we're combating. Like, we're telling you, like, don't listen to what other people are saying. You know, don't look at the media who tells you have to have this material thing or that material thing in order to be joyful. You know, you determine what makes you joyful, right? And there's so many things, and so we have to, like, focus on all of the great things that's in our life, and understand that you know, when you understand you have joy and abundance, it's almost like, you know, everything, you see the joy in everything in life. And so you know, it gives you a different perspective.
Even the bad though?
I mean, with the bad, you don't let the bad, like, determine. You look at it like a moment in time. Like, it doesn't really it shouldn't dictate your emotion, because you know, it's fleeting.
Yeah,
it does.
Yeah, it does.
It does. And it's like, and so this is what we're, you know, pushing back against, like, because again, it's a moment in time, and in order for it to affect your joy or affect your mindset or mind state, is that you make it a constant reality. If you're constantly thinking about that moment in time, then it's going to be like the experience all over again. And so again, it just goes back to you being able to dictate, you know, what you're going to think about, what you're going to let influence your emotions. Again, the joy, the abundance of joy is our own creation. No one else can give it to us.
Yes. And yeah, Kwesi, just as you say, dreams turn reality. You know, we say our thoughts become things. So, like Ikemba said, you know, you can focus. You know, something bad can happen. You can focus on that, and then you actually are creating more bad things are gonna show up into your reality. So, you know, that's another thing. We have to realize how powerful we are as, you know, we're human beings, but we're also spiritual beings. So we have to, you know, take authority, take accountability over our lives, and realize, you know, you know, something bad could happen, and you focusing on that. You know, you have the choice whether you're gonna focus on that or you're gonna focus on gratitude. You know, find the good things. You know, there could be one bad thing and 9 good things. Which one are you gonna focus on? You know what I'm saying? So it's up to you. As you know, we get to choose what you're gonna focus on. So, you know, if you want to live that abundant life, you have to choose to focus on the good. We can always find things as long as we're alive, we can always find things to be grateful for.
Absolutely. Because the anger, I had to check myself, you know, years ago, because, you know, I was just letting things,
to be honest, to be transparent, I still do.
The smallest things was making me angry, and I was just like,
but it's
why
a process,
am I so angry?
Right. Yeah.
Right.
You know, it was like the littlest things that, you know, that shouldn't upset me at all. And so it made me, check myself and think about, hey, I'm holding on to stuff that I shouldn't be holding on to, and it's keeping me from like really living abundant, joyfully abundant, and which is going to affect the other areas too. How can you, have abundance of health and not be mentally in a joyful state? It's all connected.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's what this book brings too. It shows the connection of that spirit, that physical, and that mental. Because joy, I would argue that deals with the mental. So those first 3 chapters, you get that, because you can't you can't be talking about collective economics and financial, but you're angry. If you're angry, you don't really want to deal with people. So how can you collectively work with folks and you just letting off all this negative energy?
Right.
Nobody wants to be around that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, man. Speaking of interconnectedness, and everything is intertwined, right?
Mm-hmm.
The universe is intertwined with the earth. The earth is intertwined with nature. We're human beings are intertwined with the earth and with nature. Everything is intertwined with each other.
Yeah.
You're speaking on energy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Having a constant flow of energy. And life, as I'm quoting from the book, life is all an exchange of energy, right? Life within itself. And you spoke about energy, spirituality, right? And you said in the book, as I quote, we can stop the flow of energy
Quote.
by thinkingness. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, so I broke down, my chapter was on health abundance, so I broke down health, and I had to think about what is abundant health. And so abundant health is like spiritually healthy, emotionally healthy, physically healthy. We can stop the flow of energy by thinking this. What I meant by that is that we can have blocks. We talk about having a mental block, or we talk about having like a writer's block. So there's a natural flow of energy. There's, when you're aligned with spirit, spirit just tells you things. You have your intuition, you have your instincts. So thinking this for me is your mind can disrupt that flow, or disrupt that alignment with spirit. Spirit will tell you things, right? But your own mind you can come up with something else. So you're blocking that flow. And what I mean by that flow of energy is there's divine energy that flows through you. That's when you get your great ideas. But then you can have a thought, like say you have a negative thought and you say, no, I can't do that, so that blocks that energy. It's like we have this access to infinite intelligence, right? And, by our own thoughts can interrupt that flow. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Thank
Yes,
you.
sir. Man,
Sure.
deep. Man, so let's move on. You also stated that that sleep, right? So you said that the greatest thing you can do to your physical body is to give it rest. Sleep is the most rejuvenating and regenerative thing you can do for your body. Also, fasting is the second most rejuvenating thing. And then thirdly is eating to live rather than living to eat. So one, why is sleep the most rejuvenating and regenerative thing you can do for your body? And two, how often should we fast?
Okay, so sleep is the most regenerative thing, rejuvenating thing we can do for our bodies, because our natural state is health. Our bodies naturally know how to heal itself. So when we're sleeping, when we're at rest, our bodies is doing what it naturally does, which is healing itself. It has time. When we're awake, our body has to direct energy to other things, right? Like, we got to go and walk, or we have to digest food. So, but when we're at rest, when we're sleeping, the body can direct all its energy towards, getting rid of the waste, regenerating cells. So sleeping is actually when our body does the most healing. It's the most rejuvenating time. Then you asked about fasting.
Correct.
Yeah. So then fasting, of course, is also very healing for us because, when the body doesn't have to digest food, it can direct that energy into other areas of the body that it needs to heal. So we should be fasting as much as we can. Some people do it seasonally. Some people do it weekly. It all depends on where you. There's not just one answer. It depends where you at because we're all in a process of growth. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So as much fasting as you can do. Some people will do intermittent fasting. Say you only allot 8 hours out of the day that you eat. That's one way to do it. If you want to just start off, try fasting. You can try intermittent fasting. Some people, throughout time, fasting is something people have done culturally, spiritually. Right. You can do it. Fasting is great as much as you can do it. There's different types of fast. You can do a liquid fast. You could do a juice fast. Mm-hmm. You can do a dry fast. Just try out different fasts and just build up to as much as you can do it. I know there's a lot of people who only eat one meal a day.
Right.
That's part of the eat to live philosophy. So as much as you can, I would say.
Man, so let's switch gears to abundance through Ujamaa, right? Ujamaa is a key Swahili word meaning cooperative economics, which we discussed a little bit about that earlier in this interview. So Dr. Ikemba, can you explain the difference between unity and uniformity? Because some people get those words and definitions intertwined and mixed up with each other. But there is a difference, though. Break that down for us. Break that down, brother doctor.
Yeah. So people, you can have diversity among a group of people, and they can still be unified. When you talk about uniformity, uniformity is sort of everybody is thinking the same, doing the same thing, but you don't necessarily have to be homogenous to have unity. And so, this is why Pan-Africanism, is a great example of how we can be unified, but we don't necessarily have to have uniformity, where you have people with different ethnic groups and different languages and so forth, right? So I think that's a great example of, the difference between unity and uniformity. And so like with even, just going into collective economics in Ujamaa, which is cooperative economics, but also can be translated to mean socialism. And Julius Nyerere of former president of Tanzania, wrote the book on Ujamaa, and they actually practiced that in the development of the political economic system of Tanzania when he was president. But again, like that shows like, we can work together. We can be unified in our economic pursuit, but we don't necessarily have to be show uniformity.
Right.
In our thinking and cultural practices.
Right. Like, you can say that 7 plus 0 equals 7. I can say that 4 plus 3 equals 7. Mm-hmm. Brother Yomi, you can say that 6 plus 1 equals 7.
Right.
That's a difference, right? But the unity is that we're all achieving and getting to the same results, right? So it doesn't matter how you got there. It doesn't matter how I got there, brother. It doesn't matter how you got. We still got to the same. We still got to the same resource of power. We still got to the same answer. So that to me, also just to build on you, is unity, right? The base word of uniformity is uniform, right? And what happens in a school, a charter school, right? I work at a charter school. They all have to wear a uniform, right? Obviously, they don't think alike, but on the outside of it, they all look alike because they have the same uniform, right? The little girls, they have on the dresses and the polo tops. The little boys, they have on the pants and the polo top. That's a uniform, right? Yeah. That's uniformity, looking alike, right? So we can even go further of uniformity also, as you just broke down, thinking alike, even looking alike, right? Features, right? And this is why in Africa we had to have tribes, because most people looked alike, right? And even back then they didn't get along, but they got along just enough to control the resources and to have power and dominion over their land.
Yeah, and uniformity is not necessarily a bad thing.
Right.
So you know, there's going to be times where you need uniformity just to avoid chaos and confusion. You know, you know, it's not. You know, we're not saying that you have to be one or the other. You know, there's a time to be in uniformity. There's a time where unity and not uniformity is the best way to move forward. Just because forcing uniformity could cause chaos and confusion.
Right.
Yeah.
And real quick, I think that's where us as a people get disillusioned and have a misconception that we need uniformity in order to achieve some type of freedom. Right. All of us need to think a certain way. All of us need to, be called black. All of us need to, you know what I'm saying? So we don't need that in order to have freedom.
Yeah.
Let's go into this real quick. So you stated that shout out to the elder Dr. Claude Anderson in Powernomics, right? He said that the ability of blacks to pull their resources and power to produce, distribute, and consume in a way that creates goods and wealth that black people control, right? So pulling their resources in order for black people to control their wealth. How can we apply that in today's society?
Yeah. So there's people who are doing it, but where we need to be as a people is doing what Abundance in Ujamaa is doing, for starters, but supporting, of course, like buying African, or black, used interchangeably, but supporting African people, but making sure too that we're developing relationships with these businesses where these businesses understand that they have to do the same thing though. So they have to look to pull their resources together and make sure that they're buying black, import, export from Africa. Like we have to get away from doing business with our historical enemy and exploiter. And so part of what we can do is just making sure that we're supporting African people in all aspects. And so on a small scale and on a large scale. So having those building institutions and having these kind of conversations is ways that we can do this. Is education. There's different things that we have to do, but we have to be very active in at least educating people and bringing different groups of people together. Different organizations, when we talk about the unity, working with different organizations as well. The political, because I think the political and economic institutions, they can't be separated. So, we have to start reaching out to those people who are, maybe business minded, but not very, their level of consciousness may not be there where they're thinking black nationalism. But there has to be a way that we can build the bridge with those people if they have the resources. So it goes back again to the unity, not uniformity.
Right.
But yeah,
Indeed.
But it has to be Marcus Garvey. I mean, he said it best: race first. We have to develop that mindset. Yeah.
And man, as Dr. Umar stated in our interview, he said that religious people put religion over race, right? They say that I'm a Christian first instead of, as you said, race first. My religion is Islam first instead of, no, I'm African. You know what I'm saying? You're a human first, and then your philosophy and ideology comes after. Man, so much to talk about in so little time, right? Man, any last words, brother Yomi?
Yeah. I would just say, I know we wrapping up. I would say today is an example of us pooling our resources. Giving much thanks to you, brother Quasi, for allowing us to come on your platform. Your platform is a resource. So you're pooling a resource. So this is a real time example of us pooling our resources. Not only supporting us by buying a copy of the book, but also sharing your platform with us. So we give thanks for you. Gratitude, like we said. Just thankful for you and thankful for the work you're doing with your online bookstore. We know you built a lot of, you encouraging people to read. That's very important for us as a people. The knowledge you spread, we see what you're doing. We appreciate what you're doing. So we give thanks for you. And follow us on AIU Movement on Instagram. You can buy the book, the ebook. The link is in the bio on the IG.
Right.
Peace and power.
Yeah, I want second that, man. Appreciate you having this discussion with us,
Yes,
giving us
sir.
the opportunity to promote ourselves and our book. Encouraging folks to definitely pick up the ebook. And we have more coming in 2023, so definitely follow what we're doing. And the other message I want to put out there is just Pan-Africanism, Black nationalism is the way. Make sure that we are doing everything possible to organize our families, our communities for power as African Black people. The war is still on, and the fight for liberation should be our main, focus and objective, to be a sovereign, independent, and self-determined people. So make sure that race first mindset and Black power to everybody that's viewing. Yeah.
Indeed. Well, thank you, brothers. I truly enjoyed this interview with you all. I got to know a little bit about yourself. We didn't get into the Medgar Evers College and the professorship piece of it, but hopefully next time.
You're an alum of Medgar, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes.
So shout
here.
out to Medgar Evers College. Shout out to CUNY. Inshallah, hopefully next time we can dig deep into education and professorship and all that, and hopefully next time we can have the sisters on board too.
Yeah.
Man, so we're gonna have this video clip on YouTube, so definitely subscribe, click the link in the bio, support. And yeah, man, I see y'all also Tuesday. I'm gonna have our brother Sharif, CEO of We Buy Black, so make sure y'all tune in Tuesday. Assalamu alaikum, shalom, hotep, Islam, peace.